Hi there, it's Leslie from Clem&Thyme Nutrition, and in this video, I thought I would share this dietitian's top tips for grocery shopping. Okay, so when you first get to the grocery store, well, let's start back. Before you get to the grocery store, we should hopefully have made a list, right? So I personally like to organize my list according to hopefully where it is in the grocery store. It's much easier to do that as you're walking through. So I actually like to use an app on my phone. I think it's like the to-do list on reminders is what it's called on my cell phone. And I go through and actually as I get stuff, you can click like the complete, like it's a reminder, like a to-do list, and then it actually will fall off of your schedule. And so that's how I like to start as I go through. So in most of my grocery stores, I walk in the door and the produce department is first, which is awesome because, as you would guess, this dietitian hopes that at least half of our plate should be filled with produce. So that means that at least half of our grocery cart should be filled with produce, right? So that's equals each other. So we can't go to the grocery and get, a stalk of celery and a squash and think that that's going to fill half of our plate for the whole week. Okay. So when we're in the produce department, I would encourage you to follow the dirty dozen. And what that means is the 12 fruits and vegetables with the most pesticide residue are the ones that we should buy organic. If organics, is something that you can fit in your budget. So when going through the produce department, I would go to the organic section to buy at least the dirty dozen. And then you could buy, the clean 15, which are the 15 cleanest fruits and vegetables that have the lowest pesticide residue. Those you can buy conventional. You don't need to spend the extra money on those, okay? So that's my tip for the produce department. Along with that, I would encourage you to try something new every time you go to the grocery. So a lot of us get in the same habit of buying the exact same produce items and the exact same thing in the whole grocery store that we got last week. And especially with produce, it's seasonal, right? So I would encourage you to try and get the things that are in season. They taste better. Has anyone ever bought a store-bought tomato in the middle of the winter? It tastes nothing like the fresh Ohio tomatoes here in the summer. So I would encourage you to buy things seasonal, try something new and aim for a cart full of produce, whether that's in the produce section that are fresh or whether you get produce that's canned or frozen. All of those count for your half a plate or your half a cart of produce. Okay. So after that, almost everything else in the grocery store is going to have a food label, and that's great. So moving on through the rest of the store, I would just encourage you, my top tip is instead of turning over the label and looking to see how many calories it has or how many fat grams it has, I want you to scan down and I want you to look for how many ingredients are in this label. What is in this? Can I pronounce all of these ingredients? Are these things that my great-great-grandmother would have used 100 years ago, to cook in her food? And if not, then I would encourage you to try and put it back on the label. So this is going to be, all of your canned items, your frozen items will have a food label, salad dressings, canned tuna, canned beans, your, whole grain rice, your whole grain pastas, quinoa, nuts and seeds, all of those, granola bars, all of those things, we want to turn over the food label and see what is in the food that we're eating. Okay. Now, I know there's a lot of buzzwords at the grocery store, so I thought I would go over my favorites. When buying eggs, I always look for pasture raised. That actually means that the chickens themselves are out amongst the yard and they're eating, insects versus, all cooped up in a cage. Or even when it says cage free, that actually could mean housed inside of a big, huge factory with no cage, but no access to green space or insects to eat, etc. So when looking for eggs, I always look for the word pasture raised. Now, of course, in a perfect world, I would love it if we were buying local eggs that we knew the farmer and we actually could see the chickens roaming around in the yard. That would be ideal. With meat, same kind of thing. Like I would love it if we knew the farmer that we were getting our beef from and our chicken from and our pork from. So that's ideal. But if you can't do that, then I encourage you to, buy beef that is, humanely raised. Grass-fed would be amazing. pasture-raised chicken, just higher quality cuts of meat overall is better for our health, right? Because those animals are out rummaging and eating grass and eating, plants that then are increasing the quality of the cut of the meat. So that is, but in a perfect world, know your farmer if you can. Seafood, I would encourage you usually to buy wild caught seafood, but there is, it's a catch-22 with that. Occasionally there's some farm-raised seafood that's actually better quality than wild caught, because it really depends what ocean you're in and if it's heavily polluted and are they overfishing. So seafood's a tough one. Overall, I would say try and get, wild caught seafood that has been wild caught maybe in the US, like up in Alaska is a good bet, because we know what our oceans are like a little bit more up there. So those are my main tips of the grocery store. Now, I will say the thing that I've gotten into is having groceries delivered. So I actually buy most of my pantry items on Thrive Market. And I have seafood, wild Alaskan salmon that is delivered every month to my door. I get lean cuts of meat from Butcher Box that are delivered to my door. A lot of times, most of the year, I have a CSA, a community supported agriculture farm around here locally that delivers produce that's in season to my house. I'm trying to think of what else I get. Oh, I get like Daily Harvest smoothie cups delivered to my house. So I've gotten the habit of just like getting things delivered to me, and it makes it really easy and practical, and they come on a regular schedule, so I don't run out of them. And so when I go to the grocery, it's usually not that much. My grocery cart is not that full because I get really good quality produce that way. I like it for a number of reasons. I can shop online and actually read the ingredient lists on those things. Then also, it decreases my impulse buying because I know what I'm getting and I know what I really need for which recipes. And again, I'm not impulse buying when I'm in the grocery store. And obviously, I just love the convenience of it being delivered and I don't have to leave my house. So I would encourage you guys to check out some of those brands. And most of those are in our Instagram account with coupon codes for first-time purchases. So that's my tips. Tons of produce, half of your shopping cart. All the other produce, fill up on all your whole foods, right? So like beans and nuts and seeds, good quality salad dressings, olive oil, avocado oil, lean cuts of meat, good whole grains, whole grain rice, quinoa, whole grain pastas, if you're eating, gluten, dairy products that you can read the ingredient list if you're eating, dairy, and just read those ingredients for everything that is not fresh. So I hope this helps you when you go grocery shopping. Let us know if you have any questions. Oh, and one last thing. If you're wondering what packaged food that we buy, so which salad dressings and rice and granola bars and all of those things that are in a package, what things the dietitians at Clem&Thyme recommend, we actually have a grocery guide of all of the products that we love. So it's on our website. Just go to our website, Clem&Thyme Nutrition, Clem&Thyme.com. It'll pop up. And you can also find it in our bios on social media. And it's super helpful resource for you to just see which products that we love. So let us know if you have any questions. I hope this video was helpful.